Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy 2021. I'm not sure that this video is going to be going up right on January 1st, 2021, but alas, we are in a new year. 2020 is finally behind us, and we can all just hope, pray, and cross our fingers that better things are coming in 2021. And I know for me in my project planning journey, I am really hopeful that my 2021 journey is going to be a little bit more fun and a little bit more laid back and low key than my 2020 project planning journey. So I still want to be involved in as many project pan collabs as I want to be, but doing 20 in 2020 last year as like my year-long project pan was super overwhelming. So we're gonna simplify it this year, and my standard project for the year is just going to be a rolling project 10 pan. I feel like this is going to be a lot more motivating for me. Therefore, if I am feeling unmotivated by a product, I'm just going to roll it out. So I do have my 10 products that I'm going to be starting the year out with. I am really excited about the products that I have selected. If you guys missed my planning, my 2021 projects that I posted in December, I will leave that link down below. Leave me your comments and suggestions on specific products that you would like to see me try and pan throughout the year. I do have a couple of those products incorporated in today's project, but not all of them. So if you guys are interested in seeing the 10 products that I am selecting to begin this project with, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you love project planning content, palette content, or just chit-chatting about makeup, I think that you will really like it over here, and I would love it if you would consider subscribing. And other than that, let's just get into this introduction. Okay, so I did try and choose a good range of products. I am also starting my year off with the whole collection project pan that, if it's not up yet, it will be going up soon. I am still currently participating in the Roulette Pan collab. I will be starting the Partners in Cream project, and then there is a super exciting project that will be starting on the 20th as well. So I tried to take all of my projects into consideration when making these selections, and I tried to give it a good balance between products that I like and want to move out of my collection, as well as some favorites that I want to sprinkle in here and there just to give me extra motivation to use up a product, even if I will repurchase it after finishing it. So let's start. I did only choose one foundation to start with. I was not as successful with foundation last year as I have been in years past, so I'm hoping that if I scale back and just really focus on one or two foundations at a time, maybe I'll be a little bit more successful in my foundation panning journey. I also brought a lot of foundations into my collection last year, so that's obviously probably part of it. But the foundation that I am starting the year off with is this one from Bite. It is the Changemaker Supercharge Micellar Foundation, and I really enjoyed this when this first released last year. However, I don't think I have a great shade match for me, and this definitely only suits me in the winter time when I am really pale. I do have mine in the shade L15, and I still have quite a bit of product left. This is where we are at. This is where we are currently at. I am going to give myself the goal of finishing this up, and like I said, this really only works for me in the winter time. So I really want to focus on this and work on getting this out of my collection. This is a foundation that I feel like does look good both in person and on camera when it matches me, which is sometimes I've worn it on camera and it has not been a great match. But I am hoping that I could maybe move this out of my collection in a couple of months. This is something that I also can mix with like a lighter coverage foundation, or if I want this to be a little bit more glowy, I can mix it with like my L'Oreal Pro Glow. This is definitely more of a mattifying foundation, and then I'll usually use like a dewy setting spray or some glowier products to just add some life back into my skin. This is one that when I first started using it last year, I definitely thought that it would become a staple in my collection and one that I would continue to repurchase. But as of right now, I'm kind of unsure about whether or not this will be a staple in my collection. We'll see how I feel after some consistent use, but just not so sure about this one anymore. And then for my powder, I actually am also including the Bite Changemaker powder. I have mine in the shade L1, and I have raved about this powder a lot on my channel. As you can tell, I have huge pan already in this, and I thought it would just be nice to finish this powder up and work it out of my collection. This is absolutely a powder that I would repurchase. I do still have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush powder as another pressed powder, and I am interested in trying the number 7 powder. I don't want to purchase any more powders, any more pressed powders until I'm able to at least finish this one off. So even if I don't repurchase this one right away, I do feel like this will eventually make its way back into my collection. This is a beautiful powder if you are looking for something that is just going to really blur everything and not look too heavy, but also set everything into place. I use this all over my face. I'll use this underneath my eyes. Sometimes I will just like fold the little powder puff in half, pick some up, and then just like dab underneath my eyes. I should look in the mirror as I do this. Dab underneath my eyes. This one also has a decent shade range for powders. It's not like it just has like 3 different shades because it is actually a powder foundation. So I am really hopeful that I can finish this off in a couple months as well. Again, I have major pan on this already, and I thought that this would be a good kind of motivation booster to toss in right away just because I already have that major pan going on this one. For a primer, I'm going to be tossing in my Touch and Still No Problem Primer. This one, I have already gone through a full jar of this. I used to really enjoy this, but I definitely have pore filling primers in my collection now that I prefer over this one. You guys know I'm a diehard First Aid Beauty fan. I love the Pores Be Gone primer. I also think the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer is another really good, very affordable pore filling primer, and I've actually come around to the Catrice pore filling primer more than my initial like first impressions of it. I actually have been really enjoying that one, so I would just like to finish this one off and move it out of my collection. I haven't marked this one yet, but I will mark it right about here. I still have about 3/4 of this left. When I panned this last year, it actually went really quickly, and what I will say about this one that's nice about this primer is it layers really nicely, so I can put this down in the areas that I want to fill my pores, but then I can go over it with like glowy primers and I don't get any sort of pilling. So I don't think I'll have a problem finishing this within a few months as well. For my concealer, I'm going to be working on my Ilia concealer. I have mine in the shade Arrowroot, and this is a very thin, very light coverage concealer. This is one that oftentimes I will just mix with other concealers. My shade is a little bit warm for me. You probably won't be able to tell from that swatch, especially because I have an old swatch right next to it, but it is a little bit more yellow toned, and I definitely am more cool toned. So sometimes I'll just like mix this in to, sometimes I'll mix it into like a thicker concealer like the Hourglass one. Sometimes if I go a little bit too heavy handed, I'll just dab a little bit of this on top of it to kind of thin it out. You're not going to get much coverage with this concealer. Honestly, I just don't think that this is really a great concealer, but it's not so bad that I feel like I can't get use out of it. But definitely would love to work this out of my collection and just be done with it. In fact, now that I'm looking, I see a little window over here, so I'll be curious to see how quickly I can go through this. I did get a scale this year, so I'll be able to kind of track my progress through weight as well, but I will be really excited to finish this one off. For my bronzer, I mentioned in my planning that I wanted to pan my Ilia bronzer. I do really like this bronzer. I think it's really nice. I'm not 100% sold that I would repurchase. As you can see, as you can tell, you can already see the rings in this bronzer, so I feel like I'm really close to pan on this. I haven't finished that many full-size bronzers in my lifetime with project panning. I finished the Becca bronzer in a full size, as well as the Physicians Formula Butter bronzer, but I think those are the only 2 full-size bronzers that I have officially like panned and finished. I have finished a couple other mini bronzers, but I would love to actually like finish this one off this year. This would definitely take some good dedication and some good consistent use, but I feel like hopefully by like April I could have this done. This is a more neutral toned bronzer, which I typically tend to prefer. Neutral leaning a little bit warm, but this is also a really nice buildable bronzer, so it's not hard. What am I trying to say? It's not easy to go too heavy-handed. I am someone who usually goes very heavy-handed with her bronzer, and this is nice and buildable, so I avoid issues that I sometimes have when going a little bit too heavy-handed while using this bronzer, just because it is so buildable. So would love to finish this one off. That will be the goal. All right, for blush. Blush is always the bane of my existence, and I actually hit pan on a blush for the first time last year, and I'm going to be incorporating this blush into the beginning of this project. This is the Tarte Partey blush. As you can see, I have the tiniest baby pan in this blush, and my goal with this right now is going to be to finish off this blush. This is a very neutral tone blush, so it really pairs well with a lot of looks, and it's something that is very easy to reach for on a day-to-day basis. If, however, I get really bored or if I get really complacent with this blush, I will just roll it out. Hopefully I'll be able to expand the pan pretty significantly before then, but it would be really cool. Would be really cool to finish a blush up this year, and this is the only one I feel like would be like a possibility of potentially doing that. And then I also wanted to roll in a liquid blush. This is the Milani Cheek Kiss liquid blush. I have mine in the shade Wine Glow. This is where we are, so I still have quite a bit of this left, and this isn't necessarily something that I'm going to give myself the goal of 100% completing, but this is a really nice shade for this time of year, so I wanted to just put it in this project to give me some extra motivation to reach for it. As you can see, it's more of like a brown tone wine shade. It's a really interesting consistency because it is more of a gel-like consistency rather than like a creamy, moussey sort of texture. It shears out really, really beautifully, and I could honestly see this working really well in the summertime too, just as like a really deeper, like bronzy, neutral sort of blush shade. So maybe I'll try and finish this up, but as of right now, I just want to try and get some use out of it for a couple months. We'll see where we're at, and maybe I'll roll it out at that point. Maybe for right now, I'll give myself the goal of getting below the M on Milani, like getting about halfway through this product, and that's where we're gonna leave it at this. And then if I want to continue with it, I'll continue with it, and if I want to roll it out, I will roll it out. That is the beauty of a rolling Project 10 pan. This trio has been with me, I think, since 2015 or 16. It was one of the first blush products that I purchased. This has gone into many a project before, and I have actually used this quite a bit. And I mentioned in my project pan planning video that I would really love to hit pan on this highlighter shade as well as this blush shade, and then I feel like I would finally feel content parting with this. There's like a nostalgic part of me that like really wants to hang on to this, because I just remember when I finally decided to pick this out, I remember I wanted a blush, but I wasn't sure what kind of blush to get, and I wanted a couple of different options, and for some reason I thought as a beginner this would be a great blush palette for me with these just really bright, vibrant tones. I actually really enjoy this like highlighting blush topper shade. I don't know how well that's going to show on top of my other swatches, but my first goal with this is just going to be to hit pan on this shade right here. Again, kind of like a highlight blush topper shade. I actually have used this quite a bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see that there is a dip. There's definitely a dip in that powder specifically. After I hit pan on that, we'll see where we want to go with this palette. Maybe I'll put it away for a little bit and then pull it back out, because obviously these are more like summertime shades, but I would be really happy if I could hit pan on this in the next couple of months. I also wanted to throw an eye primer into this project. I have never tried to pan an eye primer, and I have really been enjoying my KVD Beauty eye primer. It's a really like weird, it's the weird one where you shake it up. I really like it. It has no pigment to it, and it works really well for me. So I would like to make my way through my Urban Decay primer potion and get this out of my collection, just because I think going forward I will kind of exclusively use that Kat Von D one. This one is nice, but I feel like sometimes it can look a little bit heavy on the eyelids. I do like that this has a little bit of a pigment, but I've just found that it isn't my absolute favorite formula. I am about halfway done with this. Now, I've heard these take forever to get through, so this could be going for a good 6 to 7 months, but again, I would really like to work this out of my collection because I just have other eye primers that I prefer over this one, and knowing myself, I know I will switch back and forth between this and the KVD one, so I do feel like this will take me a long time to get through, but alas, I do want to see how long it will take me to pan an eyeshadow primer. And then the final product that I'm including in this 10 pan, I want to kind of cycle through all of my really mini lipsticks, lip glosses, lip products, just because my lip collection in general is out of control. So I thought, whoops, I thought this would be a great place to start, because this is so many, and I still feel like this will take me forever to get through. This is the Charlotte Tilbury mini lipstick in the shade Pillow Talk. This is how much I have, and it is a really beautiful, just nude shade, kind of like a Your Lips but better. I feel like this would be beautiful as a cream blush as well, and I mean, come on, I should be able to get through that. I want to see how many lip products I can get through this year. I'd have to go back and look and see how many lip products, especially specifically in each category, I got through last year. But I would love to get through a lot of lip products this year, both lipstick, lip gloss, liquid lipstick. Liquid lipstick seems to be impossible, but I want to get through a lot of lips this year, and I think it'll be best for me to just kind of cycle through my minis in various projects. So we're going to start it off with the Little Mini Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. I will say I don't feel like the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks are worth the $34 price point. That's just my personal opinion. Watch, later down the road, I'll probably end up hauling some of these lipsticks because that's just the way it goes. I say I don't think something's worth it, and then I buy a bunch of it. But hoping that I can finish this in the next few months, and after that, that is going to wrap it up for this introduction in my Rolling Project 10 pan. If you are currently trying to pan any makeup, I would love to hear what products you are going to start the year off with. What are you going to be working on? Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.